Lord Provost, ladies and gentlemen, it's an enormous privilege to be with you tonight, and thank you, Lord Provost, for your welcome and for the opportunity to meet in the City Chambers this evening. I'm really privileged to have the opportunity to meet with you all as members of the Scotland-Malawi Partnership, and it's a welcome opportunity for me to be able to take forward this conversation so early in my term of office as First Minister, and to use this opportunity to express the commitment that international development and Scotland's relationship with other countries, especially Malawi, is of great importance to both me personally and also to the government that I lead. Our commitment to international development relationships in Scotland reaches back many years and indeed predates my period in government as a Scottish Minister. I remember engaging on the questions about international development and whether it was going to be possible and practical for Scotland to become involved in this area of policy when I was chairing Parliament's External Affairs Committee back about 20 years ago. And the government of the time, led by Jack McConnell, was exploring the possibility of Scotland taking forward some role in international development. And I remember vividly the discussions at that time of there being a willingness on the part of the United Kingdom government, who carry policy responsibility for international development, to enable that to be able to be taken forward. I remember the then Secretary of State for International Development, Hilary Benn, coming to the committee that I chaired. And when being probed on whether or not it was appropriate within our constitutional settlement for Scotland to be involved in international development work, Hilary Benn replied saying he thought there was plenty of room for Scotland to be making a contribution on the question of international development. And I thought that exchange was one of those, I don't know, just a very pragmatic recognitions of the challenges that we face in the whole field of international development, and that the United Kingdom government was essentially creating the space and the opportunity for anybody of goodwill to make a contribution to this area of policy. And Scotland was keen to do so on a cross-party basis, and I'm delighted that that cross-party basis has been sustained over all these years since. As the graphics show, Malawi celebrated 60 years of independence earlier on this year, and next year, of course, Scotland's International Development Programme, which has had Malawi at its heart, will celebrate its 20th anniversary. It will be the 20th anniversary next year of our development cooperation with Malawi, and we look forward to continuing that relationship for many years to come. That is because that relationship reflects who we are as a nation. It is innovative, it embraces technology, it celebrates diversity, it encompasses our core values of fairness and equality, and fundamentally, it speaks to Scotland's place in the world and our role as good global citizens, which of course is one of the aspirations that lies right at the heart of some of the very foundations of Scottish society, not least of which is our curricular approach within our schools, where the importance of being a good global citizen is absolutely entrenched and anchored in our education system in Scotland today. Central to all of this are, of course, the partnerships that we've built with countries like Malawi as part of the international development activity. And our investment in those relationships has increased, both to our International Development Fund and our climate justice funding. The Scotland-Malawi Partnership, along with its sister organisation, the Malawi-Scotland Partnership in Malawi, have played an integral role in all of this activity. And through your creativity and dedication, you've nurtured the many and varied civic connections that exist between our two countries. With your help, the thousands of links between ordinary Scots and people in Malawi are now stronger than ever. These connections help every day to change lives and to transform communities, and they are deeply valued by the Scottish Government and an essential part of how we take forward our relationship in this respect. As we look forward to the 20th year of our programme and beyond, I want to reiterate that our development work will continue to have the interests of Malawi and its people at its core. I'm pleased that the progress of new Scottish Government programmes on health, on inclusive education, on climate justice, on renewable energy and equalities, which align with our new international development principles on partner country-led development, equality, diversion and inclusion, fundamental to the whole notion of partnership, which is key to all of the work that we take forward. That is why we will also continue to celebrate the connections between ordinary Scots and people in Malawi through churches, schools, hospitals and local authorities. Indeed, there's a grouping in my own constituency who faithfully raise money through the Mary's Meals charity, which supports the activities of a primary school in Malawi, which is a very precious connection with the communities I have the privilege to represent. I greatly value the strength of Scotland's relationship with Malawi and of the many connections that we across Scotland have built with our partners in the government of Malawi and in civil society. Now, some of you may already be aware that planning has been underway for some time for me to be able to visit Malawi and Zambia later on this month to further deepen these links. As I'm beginning to find out as First Minister, unfortunately events often come along which make things difficult for you to be able to continue with the plans that you would ideally like to take forward. And as the Lord Provost mentioned, we've had the awful events that we've seen, thankfully not on our streets in Scotland, but we have seen in other parts of the United Kingdom of disorder, which have really had a negative effect on community relations and which have caused widespread fear and alarm and anxiety. Now, given the fact that these events have taken place, I've unfortunately had to come to the decision, which is much to my regret, that I can't proceed with a trip to be out of the country at this particular stage, given the fact that I have to make sure that all of what we have to do here can be done properly and effectively. So it's with deep regret that I won't be able to take forward that trip to Malawi and Zambia later this month. But I am determined to go there as First Minister and to make sure that I personally am able to express in Malawi and in Zambia the support of the Scottish Government for the programmes and projects that we take forward and for the really significant advances that have been made as a consequence of that partnership. So I look forward to being able to undertake those visits as quickly as I possibly can do. But I hope you will understand that the circumstances that we have experienced just make it difficult for me to undertake that trip at this particular moment. I want to take this opportunity to make clear to you all that the government that I lead will continue with your support and expertise and engagement to stand steadfast in our commitments to partners in Malawi and in Zambia and to our principled progressive approach to international development. I'm really grateful to you for providing the opportunity to meet with you tonight. I look forward to hearing more about the Scotland-Malawi partnership in the course of the presentations this evening, and to making it clear to you that I will work closely with you over the coming months and years as we continue our efforts in tackling poverty, inequality and in tackling injustice and in cementing the relationship that exists, the very powerful relationship that exists between Scotland and Malawi. Thank you very much.